So we're going to debate this issue with Democrat Congressman Adam Smith, who's live for us at the Capitol. And Congressman, it's good to have you on here. So I want to start with, what we're seeing right now in Minneapolis. Obviously, we've seen Holman go in. He gets somewhat of a capitulation from the Attorney General Ellison, and ICE can now work with the jails and such. And then you get about 700 ICE officers that are now able to leave because there's fewer of them needed in the streets. Starting there, what do you think about where we're at on immigration in the state and the city of Minneapolis, the state of Minnesota?
Well, I think it's unfortunate. I mean, there's two things that the American people strongly agree with Donald Trump on when it comes to immigration. Number one, they want a secure border, and they don't think, and rightly so, that the border was secure under Joe Biden. It wasn't. President Biden did make some changes near the end of his term, but too little too late. So President Trump came in and secured the border. The second thing they agree is that criminals, dangerous criminals in particular, should be the target of immigration enforcement, and they should be deported. And not enough, states and local jurisdictions cooperate with federal law enforcement on that. But the big problem with what President Trump has done that has made it unpopular is, number one, the rules of engagement. ICE and these other agencies have come in, no due process, no probable cause, kicking in doors, bashing out windows, dragging people out, obviously in two cases shooting people, in a very aggressive manner that I think the American people don't support. The second thing that they don't support is the fact that these aren't just targeting dangerous criminals. They're going in and pulling 4-year-olds out of preschool. And I don't think the people support that. And lastly, there's the dishonesty, particularly from Kristi Noem, when they came out and on these two instances, the two shootings, described circumstances that weren't happening, saying that Petrie was brandishing a firearm and was hell-bent on killing a whole... The facts weren't there. So I think that's where President Trump has gone wrong, is on the way he's doing immigration enforcement, and that's why you've seen such a pushback.
Let me just push back on all that for a second here. I understand where you're coming from. I think even the president at some point got a message there. I mean, he says in this interview that's on NBC coming up that a softer touch may be needed in these cases. He still wants to be strong on immigration. I will point to this Signal poll that's out this week that 61% of Americans want the deportation of all illegals into the country. You've got pretty strong majorities of people that say it is a crime to enter the country illegally, that if you are here illegally, you should be deported. And then I just want to point out that, there's been tactics by ICE that have been loudly criticized, that have been offensive to some. I think I'm in the camp of when you dump 15, 20 million people into a country, all pretending to be asylum seekers, the process of removing them is going to be very messy. And if you don't do it aggressively, it'll never get done. What do you say to that?
Sure. If I could offer just two things. One, that poll you're referencing also showed that 56%, I think it was, disagreed with President Trump's approach to immigration. And given the support that they have on those other issues for him, it's a pretty strong statement that he's doing something wrong when it comes to immigration. Second, on enforcement, I think it was by design. I mean, President Trump has done a number of different videos and made a number of different very aggressive statements. The one that stands out for me is when he made an apocalypse now analogy to invading and waging war on the city of Chicago. So that's by design, and that is not necessary to deport the people that you're talking about deporting. So President Trump, he's always a tough guy. He's always saying we're going to go in basically and kick ass and take names and be hyper aggressive. He hired Bovino for precisely that reason. Mm-hmm. He took that approach, and no, I don't think that's necessary to deport people or enforce crime. I mean, you don't have to drag a person who's filming you, throw him down on the ground, and shoot him 6 times in the back to kill him in order to enforce the law. And that's what I think needs to change.
To be fair, there's an investigation. There is an investigation there on Alex Preddy, and we do have video of him the week before being a psychopath and kicking a Border Patrol SUV so hard that he popped the rear window.
So if you kick an SUV 11 days later, they've got the right to shoot you.
That's not what I'm saying. But you guys,
that's the law in the U.S.
Congressman.
Okay,
no,
then what's the relevance?
That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying though is that we were told by everyone of your ilk that this was just the nicest guy in the world and that he was a VA nurse and he was just sweeter than cherry pie. And then you get this video of a guy's a lunatic.
I didn't get into whether or not he was the nicest guy in the world.
That's what
I don't think the video shows him necessarily to be a lunatic. But the video that's relevant is the one where he got killed, where he was filming a situation, 5 or 6 people surrounded. You saw the video. And then the dishonesty to come out and say that he was brandishing a weapon and So be honest. There's just, I think, a lack of faith.
That's a fair point. Let me just get to one more thing before I let you go. Nadler's comments during that hearing this week regarding masked ICE individuals. A guy, Jerry Nadler, has voted a zillion times to fund immigration controls in this country, like Border Patrol, like ICE. Now at 80 years old, however old he is, he's talking about this as though it's justified for people to want to potentially shoot ICE agents because they're masked and you might not know who they are. We're talking about irresponsible rhetoric. Would you not put that in that camp?
I did not see what Jerry Nadler said, and I'm not here to defend or not Jerry Nadler, because I have no information about that whatsoever. I will say the President of the United States, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, they're in charge, they're in big positions, they want to do this right. They need to change their tactics, they need to change their rhetoric, or they're going to lose the American people on this issue.
I understand that. Congressman Adam Smith, we appreciate you being a good sport. Thanks for coming on.